Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Batty, and this isn't my typical kind of video, as I'm more used to making animations and art. I mean, if you look at my channel, that'll be obvious. Instead of making commentary content, but I've been wanting to make some kind of essay of sorts on this site called Unveil.io that I've been actively using for the past year or so. And this is going to be an opinionated video on the pros and cons of Unveil. So for those who don't know, Unveil.io is essentially a website used for OC storage and organization. It's similar to sites such as Toy House, Character Hub, and RefSheet, just to name a few examples, but much more rudimentary. Users can create pages for the characters and upload images, as well as add descriptions. It's basically just for people to keep track of their OCs and art related to these OCs. For context of my connection to Unveil, I have been a user since August of 2023. I made an account after seeing an advertisement for Unveil on Instagram after abandoning my RefSheet account simply because the site was way too slow and a pain to use. I joined when it was still fairly basic and just used it to store a few of my OCs and see what other people's OCs looked like. I only started using it more actively in November-December of 2024 once they implemented more community events. I'm not necessarily an Unveil OG, but I have been using it enough to understand its functions and develop my opinions on it. Which brings me to the pros aspect of the site. Unveil is incredibly easy to set up and use, as it's a basic site that doesn't utilize CSS or HTML. You are essentially just given a template to fill in, with the option to upload as many photos as you want, writings you want done regarding your OC, and even a Spotify link option if you want to add a song to your OC's page or link their playlist. There's a traits tab on the page if you want to add specifics about your OC, as shown here. It's very easy to get the hang of, and honestly is one of the best features of the site, as practically anybody can create an account and set up their OC's page quickly. You can somewhat upload art in bulk by uploading each image, giving it a title, then once you're done, you just save them all to the OC page. The same goes for writing and traits, which I think is helpful if you have a bunch of content or art you've made, or commission, etc., that you want to upload all at once. Now, with characters, some people just use the make a new character option to post similarly to social media. Some OC pages will just be fan art the user has drawn, while others will be contest entry posts or updates on certain things. Just think of them like tweets on Twitter. I've also seen people post things very similarly to what was posted on Sketch and Amino back in the day, such as help me make an OC based on your comments templates, and things of the sort. There's also a worlds option in which you can make what is essentially a folder for your OCs, usually depending on their universe or story. You can set a thumbnail, title, and a short description for these worlds, and you can upload characters, images, and writing. You can assign characters to a world either through their page or by adding a character through the world page itself. It's a nice tool for when you want to organize your characters depending on their story, or even if they're just made to look pretty. Either way, it simply just acts as a folder. There is a tag system for OCs too. Tags are usually just used to label a character's species, traits, fandom, or music taste, and are a neat way to find OCs similar to your own. For example, if I click on the emo tag on my own OCs page, it'll take me to the search tab where I'll find other OCs labeled as emo. This takes me to the next part of my pros section. Another nice feature of Unveil is that it's a very community-centered site and works almost as a social media. You're able to follow users and comment on their profiles, as well as like other people's OCs and comment on their pages. Liking an OC is known as favoriting, and you can see what OCs other users have favorited as well. While doing user research, I have noticed that certain friend groups have formed on the site, mostly through the same users commenting on each other's pages, which I think is neat. You can find a ton of other like-minded people on the site and follow their OC projects. I tend to favorite OCs who are in some sort of music subculture. Along with this community aspect comes roleplays and quote-unquote collab worlds. I won't speak on these topics too much since I don't personally engage with either, but from what I have seen, people will make collaborative worlds for others to participate in. People will upload or make new characters for these worlds to someone engage in it and be part of the project. These worlds also have potential for roleplay, which I'm not too sure where these roleplays take place, but I'll assume they're on Discord or some kind of messaging site. I'm not too fond of these collab works and roleplay opportunities, as like with anything regarding messaging users online, they create an environment where grooming is possible, but again, I won't speak on this much because I'm not educated on it. I'm just speaking from experience on other art platforms such as Sketch when it was active. Another pro of Unveil is that it is a very anti-AI and art theft site, and moderators are keen on catching people uploading or reposting art that isn't theirs that they didn't have permission to share. All AI art is taken down too. This is extremely refreshing to see as an OC artist myself, because I'm extremely anti-AI, and of course AI has no place in a creative field such as art. So seeing that Unveil is so against it, it's just a pro. It's a pro in itself. Lastly, I also really like how Unveil has a ton of diverse OCs, whether it's in regards to race, species, gender, or even fandom. I've seen a ton of Object Show, Murder Drones, and Percy Jackson OCs, just to name a few examples. And as for original story characters, I've basically seen every skin tone under the rainbow, hair type, hair color, you name it. As a person of color, this is extremely refreshing to see. There's so many cool and unique characters on Unveil that it's hard for me to describe just how diverse they all are. Though with every good thing, there's also negative sides to it. Unveil has its ups, but I've also noticed its downs. I'm going to start this portion off by saying that this con section is what I was referring to in the beginning when I said that this video was going to be extremely opinionated. I'm an adult, and what I'm going to say here may not be what younger viewers will want to hear, and I accept that. First off, as of the making of this video, Unveil still doesn't have a block button, and this site was made in 2021. This is obviously a very bad thing. A block button allows users to not only protect their privacy, but also protect themselves from harassment or even just avoid seeing users or content they don't like. The first instance where I realized I wanted a block button was when I had a 12-year-old like my content last year. I didn't want this happening because my OCs include mature themes and things I definitely don't want a kid to see. Though, because there's no block button, all I could do was comment on this kid's profile and kindly ask them to unfollow me since I was uncomfortable with them seeing my work, as well as report them to a moderator for being underage since COPPA laws dictate a person must be 13 or older to use the internet. As of what happened to that user is an entirely separate issue I can make another video on, but I won't add it here for now. While doing some research, I also saw a user who had someone else's username in their profile's bio under a do not interact or DNI header because they were being harassed by this exact user. All this could have been solved if Unveil implemented a block button. Con number 2. There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of minors using Unveil. I researched user ages by gathering a sample size of 522 separate users. I found each of these either through the question of the day, explore page, user profile comments, or through the randomized character search option. I made sure to shuffle through each of these website options so that my data would be somewhat randomized and unbiased. Out of 522 users, 357 were minors and 165 were adults. 4 of the 357 minors were 12, aka underaged, therefore breaking COPPA laws and unveiled terms of service. So that means that around 68% of these users are minors and 32% are adults. This isn't inherently a bad thing, as minors are everywhere and are going to be in internet spaces no matter what. That's not the issue. The problem is that with a large minor user base comes a lot of censorship and strict rules regarding OC content. Everything that is remotely subjective or has anything to do with adult themes will either be completely removed by moderators or censored heavily. Someone with heavier themes in their work will have to tone it down a ton and make things vague in order for the OC or writing to make it through moderation. This also brings me to my next con, which also talks about censorship. Nudity. The nudity rule is just absurd to me. All nipples have to be censored, whether male or female. This frustrates me as an OC artist because I make all of my characters' reference sheets with upper body nudity, obviously with nips shown, as some of them have chest tattoos, piercings, or markings. I know that Artfright has a similar rule, but at least Artfright has a censorship option where you can label an artwork with moderate or extreme nudity, and if someone wants to see that, then they can click show image. Unveil doesn't provide users with that option, so nips have to be totally censored, which may cover important features of an OC's design. This is all about upper body nudity. I'd also like to have an option where there's a censor set in place for lower body nudity as well, similar to Artfright's, where the latter is allowed as long as they aren't shown erect or aroused. Nipples, genitalia, and nudity in general are not inherently sexual and shouldn't be hidden away under the guise of quote-unquote protecting minors. Plenty of well-known art pieces show full-body nudity. Again, an option to censor nudity and give users the freedom of whether they want to see it would be a great improvement. Continuing the theme with censorship, I have seen people's OC pages get completely taken down if they have realistic gore on them, which I feel would be solved if Unveil just added a censoring feature where I mentioned before, where people can choose to see gory/nude images. Again, just a gripe I have as someone who draws taboo things like that. Censorship in itself is not all that bad, as I've seen people's OCs that appropriate Native American culture and folklore get taken down, but I just prefer an option to see artworks with slight nudity, or any nudity at all, and gore. Lastly, for people who like to customize their OC pages heavily, such as Toy House users, Unveil is very limited on customization, as everything is based on a template. You can only change the color on your OC pages and pick your own Spotify link to add music, and that's about it. You can't add GIFs or blinkies into the descriptions or borders, for example, or make the page themed a certain way like you can on Toy House. There's no option to change the fonts, the background, or anything besides what is provided to you. Customization of a site isn't just for aesthetic purposes either. On Toy House, you can quite literally code a content warning that appears before someone engages with your profile, which would prove helpful with warning users about certain topics that may be mentioned in a World or OC page. Further customization and the ability to code could also serve as a gateway for someone to post fan art under a different section rather than just making a whole new OC page for it, or even make a whole website within the Unveil site dedicated to the theme of their OCs. In conclusion, this video was meant to be a simple commentary on Unveil.io, and I hope you enjoyed it, or at least learned something from it. I wanted to discuss the benefits that Unveil offers, such as its large community base, and the simplicity of the site allowing almost anybody to store their OCs and their info, along with the negative side, like the heavy censorship and inability to block other users. This video was made from a place of genuine passion for the site, as I pretty much use it every day, and I want to see it thrive and be a place for other people to feel safe enough to share their works. I'd like for my cons to serve as constructive criticism and as a basis for how the site can improve itself. I don't plan on making more videos like this, I just wanted to get my feelings and thoughts out somehow, and I thought that a YouTube video would be the best way to get this information out there into the world. Despite all my issues with Unveil, I'll still remain fairly active on the site, and I hope to see new safety features added soon. So, thanks for watching and listening to my rambles.